In LA, nobody touches you. We're always behind this metal and glass. I think we miss that touch so much that we crash into each other just so we can feel something.
You think you know who you are? You have no idea.
Enter into the world of L36 and dive into the power of storytelling. Here at L36, we bring together a community to discover what captivating tales can teach us and use the adventure to inspire greater insight into mental well-being. Join us for an enriching exploration. Have you ever caught yourself making snap judgments about someone based on their appearance, race, or background? Today we're diving deep into the world of implicit bias as we explore the critically acclaimed film Crash. So buckle up and get ready for an eye-opening journey. Hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey of exploring implicit bias. Implicit bias refers to the unconscious attitudes or stereotypes that shape our understanding, actions, and decisions. These biases are deeply ingrained in our society and affect how we perceive and interact with others. Discussing and understanding implicit bias is essential in promoting empathy, reducing discrimination, and fostering a more inclusive society. Today we'll be examining implicit bias through the lens of the powerful movie Crash. Crash, released in 2004, is a gripping drama that intertwines the lives of several characters from different ethnic and social backgrounds over the course of 2 days in Los Angeles. The film received widespread acclaim, winning several awards, including the Best Picture Oscar at the 78th Academy Awards. Through examining stereotyping, prejudice, intersectionality, power dynamics, and the consequence of bias, we'll gain a better understanding of how these unconscious attitudes impact our society and our interactions with one another. Let's begin by examining the role of stereotyping. Stereotyping involves making generalizations about an entire group of people based on the traits of a few individuals. A prime example from the film is when Officer Ryan, played by Matt Dillon, stereotypes an African-American couple, Cameron and Christine, assuming they're up to no good due to their race. He says,
My wife has had a couple of
All right,
drinks.
both of you turn around, put your hands on top of your head and interlock your fingers.
No, wait a minute. We're only a block
Hands
away
on
from
your
our
head,
house.
interlock your fingers.
That's
Hands
not
on
even
your head,
necessary.
interlock your fingers.
Look,
Here
I'm
we
a
go.
television director. Wait, me and my wife are just coming home from an award show.
Calm down. Calm down.
There's nothing wrong.
Put your hands on top.
This leads to an unjust traffic stop and a disturbing encounter. Another example of stereotyping in Crash involves the character Jean, portrayed by Sandra Bullock, who immediately assumes that Daniel, the locksmith, is a gang member or a criminal because of his tattoos and appearance. This stereotype leads her to demand that her husband change the locks again the following day, further illustrating the impact of stereotypes on people's actions and decisions. Stereotyping can profoundly impact individuals and their relationships. Renowned social psychologist Dr. Susan Fiske explains that stereotyping can lead to discrimination, prejudice, and even dehumanization. Challenging our assumptions and recognizing the dangers of stereotyping is crucial for fostering more inclusive interactions. Dr. Fiske's research also highlights that stereotypes can lead to confirmation bias, where individuals tend to seek out or interpret information that confirms their pre-existing beliefs. This perpetuates stereotypes and contributes to a cycle of discrimination. Next, let's explore prejudice. Prejudice refers to preconceived opinions or judgments about others based on factors such as race, ethnicity, or social class. A shocking display of prejudiced attitudes occurs when Farhad, an Iranian shop owner, interacts with Daniel, a Hispanic locksmith. His assumptions about Daniel's trustworthiness based on ethnicity lead to escalating tension and tragedy. The film also portrays prejudice in the relationship between Jean and her Hispanic housekeeper, Maria. Jean makes condescending comments about Maria's English and is quick to criticize her work. This portrayal of prejudice highlights how deeply ingrained attitudes can affect everyday interactions, even when people may not be aware of their own biases. Implicit biases significantly shape prejudiced attitudes and behaviors. Dr. Mazaran Banaji, an expert in implicit bias, has shown that unconscious biases can result in discriminatory actions, even when we're unaware of them. Acknowledging and addressing these biases is a crucial step in combating prejudice. Another key aspect of prejudice is the role of social categorization. Dr. Banaji's work has shown that people tend to classify others into social groups, which can inadvertently contribute to prejudiced beliefs. By recognizing this cognitive process, we can work to minimize the negative impact of categorization on our attitudes towards others. Moving on to intersectionality. This concept refers to the ways different social categories like race, gender, and class intersect and interact with one another. A scene that showcases intersectionality features Cameron, an African-American television director, navigating the intersection of racial and professional expectations. As he states,
"You've been warned, you understand me? Do you understand me?
You want something from me? Because I'm right here.
I'm trying to help you.
I didn't ask for your help, did I?
Go home."
Crash also explores intersectionality through the character of Detective Graham Waters, played by Don Cheadle. As an African-American police officer, he experiences both racial bias and the expectations that come with his professional role. This intersection of identities creates complex challenges for Graham as he tries to balance his commitment to his job with the realities of racial discrimination within the police force. Intersectionality can influence experiences of discrimination and bias. Dr. Kimberlé Crenshaw, who first introduced the concept of intersectionality, notes that individuals with intersecting identities often face unique challenges and forms of discrimination. Understanding intersectionality helps us appreciate the complex ways biases and discrimination manifest in society. Dr. Crenshaw's work emphasizes that intersectionality can help shed light on the often overlooked experiences of marginalized individuals. By incorporating an intersectional lens into discussions of bias and discrimination, we can promote a more nuanced understanding of these issues and work towards more inclusive solutions. Join the conversation by leaving a comment below and let us know your thoughts on implicit bias. Now, let's discuss power dynamics, which refer to the distribution and exercise of power within social structures. A scene highlighting power dynamics involves Officer Ryan abusing his authority during a traffic stop with Cameron and Christine. He says,
Just stop talking.
It's quite a mouth you have. Of course you know that.
You thought you saw a white woman blowing a black man that just drove your little cracker-ass crazy.
Will you just shut your f***ing mouth?
I listen to your husband, man.
This illustrates how implicit biases can reinforce power dynamics and perpetuate inequalities. Another example of power dynamics in the film is seen in the interaction between Farhad, the Iranian shop owner, and the insurance company representative. Farhad struggles with language barriers and feels disempowered in the face of bureaucratic processes, which exacerbates his frustration and leads him to act out violently. This scene demonstrates how power dynamics can intersect with other aspects of implicit bias, such as prejudice and stereotyping. Leading social psychologist Dr. Jennifer Eberhardt's research shows that implicit biases can shape power dynamics and contribute to systemic discrimination. Recognizing and addressing these biases can help dismantle unjust power structures and promote a more equitable society. Dr. Eberhardt's research also highlights the role of social and institutional structures in perpetuating power imbalances. By examining the systemic factors that contribute to these dynamics, we can work towards dismantling oppressive systems and fostering a more equitable society. Lastly, we'll examine the consequences of bias. Implicit biases can have devastating effects, as demonstrated in the film. In a poignant scene, Officer Hansen, played by Ryan Felipe, mistakenly shoots and kills Peter, an African-American hitchhiker, due to unconscious fear and racial bias. Hansen's actions serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of implicit bias. The tragic consequences of bias are not limited to Officer Hansen's actions. In another instance, Detective Waters' brother, Peter, is mistaken for a car thief by an undercover police officer due to racial profiling. The encounter results in a dangerous confrontation, highlighting how bias can lead to harmful misunderstandings and potentially life-threatening situations. The far-reaching effects of implicit biases impact individuals and society. Dr. Patricia Devine, a prominent psychologist, has found that implicit biases contribute to disparities in healthcare, education, and criminal justice. Addressing and challenging these biases is essential for fostering a more just and inclusive society. The consequences of bias are not limited to individual acts of discrimination. Dr. Devine's work shows that biases can lead to larger patterns of institutional and structural discrimination, which can create significant barriers for marginalized communities. By addressing both individual and systemic biases, we can work to break down these barriers and create a more inclusive society. In conclusion, through the lens of Crash, we have explored the roles and consequences of stereotyping, prejudice, intersectionality, and power dynamics in shaping our experiences and interactions. Implicit biases can have far-reaching effects on both individuals and society, leading to disparities and perpetuating inequalities. It is essential to continue discussing and reflecting on implicit bias, as doing so can help us challenge our assumptions, understand the complexities of discrimination, and ultimately, create a more equitable and inclusive world for everyone. By acknowledging and addressing our biases, we can take meaningful steps towards change and foster greater understanding among diverse communities. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends and family.